Did people go to the moon in 1969? I'm not totally sure. I wasn't on the moon then.
I remember my parents waking me up and we went down and we watched you guys land on the moon,
No,
which
you
was...
didn't. No, you didn't.
What?
Because there wasn't any television. There wasn't anybody taking a picture. You watched animation.
Why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
That's not an 8-year-old's question. That's my question.
What was the scariest moment of the journey?
Scariest. It didn't happen. It could have been scary. Circuit breaker.
Gentlemen. Mr. Seibel.
Yes? If you really walked on the moon, why would you not do that? So why don't you just put the end to the record in the argument and put your hand on the Bible, swear to God you walked on the moon.
Mr. Seibel, knowing you, that's probably a fake Bible.
Talking about, how many feet we were going to the left and right, and then I said, contact light, engine stop.
It was
and a few
exciting.
other things, and then Neil said, Houston, Tranquility Base, the Eagle has landed. Man, how about that?
That was very exciting.
Not a bad line.
Okay, so let's start off in order. There was 2 video clips sent to me from moon landing deniers with Buzz Aldrin apparently denying that we're ever on the moon. So let's look at the first one again.
I remember my parents waking me up and we went down and we watched you guys land on the moon,
No,
which
you
was...
didn't. No, you didn't.
What?
Because there wasn't any television. There wasn't anybody taking a picture. You watched animation.
Buzz Aldrin is absolutely correct. Now, this was sent to me by a full-grown adult, and it doesn't take much to fool a conspiracy theorist because they want to believe. Now, what Buzz is referring to is the fact that NBC was doing the live coverage, and of course, NBC did not have cameras on the moon, and even they announced when you were watching the lunar module descent that this is animation. It was plastered across the screen, this is animation. But all it takes is for a 15-year-old to extrapolate this comment to fool full-grown adults.
Why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
That's not an 8-year-old's question. That's my question. I want to know.
Zoe's question was simple enough. It's why have we not been back to the moon in such a long time? And Buzz responding with, that's not an 8-year-old question, that's my question. Now, do you really think, you non-believers, that an 88-year-old astronaut would be invited to an elementary school and in front of the school and in front of 8-year-old Zoe admit that we have never been to the moon? Now, seriously, if you think about this logically for a moment, what kind of prick, A, would do that, and what kind of mind would believe he would do that?
What was the scariest moment of the journey?
Scariest. It didn't happen. It could have been scary. Circuit breaker.
The irony of conspiracy theorists shouting out, do your research, when they don't, boggles my mind. Because again, the question was, what was the scariest moment that happened? And Buzz Aldrin is referring to the fact that everything went as planned, which is what they were talking about for about 2 minutes before this. And nothing scary happened. It all went as planned. No circuit breakers, no leaks in the spacesuits. So it could have been scary, but it never happened.
How many feet we were going to the left and right, and then I said, contact light, engine stop.
It was
and a few
exciting.
other things, and then Neil said, Houston, Tranquility Base, the Eagle has landed. Man, how about that?
That was very exciting.
Not a bad line.
Not a bad line. Not a bad lie. This was sent to me by a third individual as their contribution as proof. Again, it was not a bad line. How easy is it, and I'm going to say it again, for a 15-year-old to edit over with subtitles, not a bad lie. And for a conspiracy theorist to hear that, it's called illusory pattern perception, also known as confirmation bias. They want to believe it's not true. They want to believe they are part of an elite group of people that are smarter than everybody else. Seriously, guys, you really got to give your head a shake. Now, this next clip is some lunatic trying to achieve fame by recording him walking up to Neil Armstrong and shouting out, "Put your hand on the Bible and swear to God that you walked on the moon." Now, this guy's just looking for his 15 seconds of fame, but think about it for a moment. Neil Armstrong, he doesn't have to prove anything to this psycho. This same psycho approached Buzz Aldrin a couple of weeks earlier when he was out with his granddaughter and did the exact same thing. Buzz Aldrin ended up punching the guy in the face because, I mean, first of all, he's out with his daughter. He's retired. He's a retired astronaut living his life. And a psycho comes up to you on the street and says, "Put your hand on the Bible and swear to God that you love your 4-year-old granddaughter." Are you seriously going to appease this psycho?
Gentlemen. Mr. Seibel.
Yes? If you really walked on the moon, why would you not do that? So why don't you just put the end to the record in the argument and put your hand on the Bible, swear to God you walked on the moon?
Mr. Seibel, knowing you, that's probably a fake Bible.
Okay, so my next clip is taken again from that 1 hour and 4 minute interview that people have extracted little things from the beginning of it. And I mean, again, this is where logic fails a lot of people. If Buzz Aldrin did in fact admit there was no moon landing and that it was faked in the first 3 minutes of this 1 hour and 4 minute interview, why did it go on for another hour and people in the assembly are asking questions about what it's like to be on the moon? Of course, that's common sense, and not everybody has that. This next clip is from the same meeting. It's one of my favorites because, you know, of all the things to go viral that they didn't go to the moon, here's one of the funniest stories Buzz Aldrin has to say about being the second man on the moon. Have a listen.
And we had prepared ourselves very carefully for being outside a couple of hours. And you know, nature sometimes calls when you're not expecting it. Well, we didn't want to get caught short. So we made sure that everything on the inside of the spacesuit that was designed to take care of number one. We were in real trouble if number two came along. So I got down the bottom of the ladder and nothing better to do than to test out the system. And Neil will always be known for having put the first foot on the moon.
There are people who are sure we did not land on the moon, and they looked at the photos of Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin in daylight, and they say, "We know you're supposed to see stars in daylight, and I don't see any stars in this photo."
Right.
Okay, so therefore we didn't really go to the moon. As though NASA wouldn't know to fake that, if that were the case. Okay. We think NASA are idiots?
That kind of makes a lot of sense.
I would like to point out, yes, conspiracy theorists think that the rest of the world are idiots.
If you know that, well, then we, the space people, definitely knew it too.
Definitely know it too.
So why wouldn't we just throw a little dots in the back and let you see some stars?
Okay, what the person doesn't know is how photography works. Okay, the terrain is so bright from the sun,
right? The
aperture of the camera closes down and cannot register the light of dim things such as the stars in the sky. So that's why. That's how that plays out.
There you go.
Some people say that in 1969 people were incapable of sending a man to the moon, but that they were capable of staging the whole thing in a TV studio. In fact, the opposite is true. By the late 1960s, they did have the technical ability, not to mention the requisite madness, to send 3 guys to the moon and back. They did not have the technology to fake it on video.
No way! That's great!